Okay, guys, we're going to start our next talk now, in which Milan Gabor is going to tell us how he survived ICO. Enjoy.
Okay. It looks like yesterday party was a blast, right? Everybody is recovering. Okay. My name is Milan Gabor, and I will be presenting you not some technical stuff, but actually my experience from the last year when I was, let's say, participating in securing one of the ICOs. So just quick notice who I am. I'm actually Pentester. I'm researcher, company owner from Slovenia, ethical hacker. I'm also part of the B-Sides Ljubljana organizer. So if you're next year, somewhere in March, around Ljubljana, you're more than welcome. And I'm also Balkan fan. I've been here presenting for several years. Last year I've been missing, but I really like also hack good Serbian food. So this is from yesterday. We just came from another very good meal, so it's gonna be a little bit easier because I have to digest my food. So, okay. So what's actually ICO? Has anybody been part of the ICO already? Or yes, we have one. Successful ICO or?
Yes,
it was. You're still running? Yes, because?
Well, no, I mean ICO, no, it's over.
It's over, yeah. But you didn't take the money and run out.
No, we're building up.
No, you're building up. Cool, because yesterday, why am I asking? Because yesterday, one of the Slovenian ICO announced creative destruction. So this is kind of new term. They're gonna buy out, they're gonna destroy all the tokens, and they were quite successful. They managed to raise more than 12 million euros last year, and this year they're closing down. Who's having the Bitcoins or some other cryptocurrency? Okay, some of the guys? Cool. So the ICO is actually initial coin offering. What does this mean? If you have good idea, before you went to the Kickstarter, today you make ICO, and you're raising the money. Actually, the people are donating you the money, right? Yeah. So it's actually you get the tokens. You send some cryptocurrency and you get the tokens, and then these tokens go to different kind of stock exchanges, and if you're lucky, you might be a millionaire or billionaire or who knows something. So this is really ICO. But first, before I will explain my own experience, we will see three parts of the ICOs, or at least crypto world. So we're going to see the good part, the bad part, and the ugly part. What's actually happening, or what happened, or it might be happening also in the future. So the people are saying, imagine blockchain everywhere. So last year, at least in Slovenia, I don't know how it was in Serbia, but I guess it was pretty same. Everything was turning around the blockchain. Also the big players, like CEO of JP Morgan. Now, first he said Bitcoin is a scam. And after that, Bitcoin drops. And when the Bitcoin was dropping, actually their guys were buying the Bitcoins and making the money. So on the other hand, we have people saying that Bitcoin is only a joke, same as a blockchain. So that's another way of we are looking at it. But around this blockchain use cases, we have several startups, so several different companies trying to build or to see or research different kind of usage where it can be. So where can we stop blockchain? Actually, at the moment, in Slovenia, we have one public tender, and if you mention blockchain in your application for this tender, you get huge amount of points. So it's a good way to win this tender. So blockchain and blockchain uses was almost everywhere. So they were saying Bloomberg Intelligence this February this year said that blockchain is coming everywhere. if you're ready or not. So it means everywhere where you look, so the banks, insurance companies, healthcare, everywhere, we will have a blockchain. In healthcare, we also have some Slovenian ICO with a healthcare. It could end travel industry pain points, they said. And of course, Russian officials said blockchain will seriously change tourism industry. And you know what they mean with that? They buy all the graphic cards in the Russian market. So actually the Russian bank bought all the graphic cards in Russian market. So gamers in Russia, they had quite problems getting a good graphic card for playing the games. So this is how Russia deals with it. And if we take a look at the most vibrant ICO scene, what do you think? Who's at the first place in world? Who? China? No. No. Slovenia? No. Who? Slovenia is close, but not the first. The first place was Estonia. So this is from last year. So the most vibrant countries were Estonia. The second was Cyprus. Why? Because also a lot of ICO companies, they have actually companies in Cyprus, and the third was Slovenia. So that was really good. And we also, last year we had ICO during the summer, and after the summer and autumn, we had almost every 2 weeks some kind of ICO coming around. And some say that the blockchain is a new hope for IoT industry and IoT security. And the data from the Star Trek says, I'm not quite sure, because imagine several billion IoT devices generating transaction and putting the transaction in the blockchain. Now at the moment, there's not so many transactions that you could put inside Ethereum, for example. We have seen examples where one simple, stupid game, like something with the cats, could stop actually the Ethereum, the whole network. CryptoKitties. Yeah. So actually one game, could actually stop the whole ecosystem. So that's the good part. So actually you can earn money. You can move the money to Cyprus or Estonia if you're starting company there. And of course, you have the bad parts. We have seen that the last year, there's rough estimation how many ICO project raised, how much money they raised. And here we have that they managed to raise 3.7 billion. And hackers stole around $370 million from it. So it's roughly around 10%. So hackers managed to steal 10% of all donations to the ICOs. This is assumption that the Ernst & Young made. And on the other hand, we have also attacks against the different kind of exchanges, like CoinCheck. They managed to steal 400 million from cryptocurrency exchange. And we have seen also some other very interesting stuff. When we have been doing some kind of pen test last year, we already found our customers' machines infected with crypto miners. So this is also a new way, not just to hack very good server which is customer running, but let's try to make some earnings with it. And of course, you have also kind of zombies. See, you can also mine with Raspberry Pis or some other ARM devices, but you don't earn that much. For example, as if you would hack some kind of very powerful server. On the other hand, there have been also some kind of new trends, how to find these miners that have been open to the internet. Why? Because if you gain the access to the miner and change the address where this miner is sending the cash from its mining, you can actually also earn a lot of money, especially if this is kind of, if this possible open mining rig is quite big or it has quite some graphic cards in it. So I tried to find some of the miners, and you can actually easily find it with a showdown. And on the other hand, you also have some miners in Serbia open to the whole internet, so you can check what kind of performance they have. So if they're doing good, for example, this one, you see that they're having, this mining rig has 6 Radeon RX 580 cards, and it's providing around 176 mega hashes per second. And these kind of, they're still open to the internet. And that's, and then the last thing, that's the ugly part. We had the good part, the bad part, and the ugly part. So who's thinking to make some kind of ICO? Nobody? No ideas for ICO? You can actually have very good manuals how to create an ICO scam in 5 minutes online. It's true that this manual hasn't been updated last couple of year or two, but still you can find some good information how to create an ICO scam very soon. And we have, because of this, let's say attacks and scams, we also have trackers who track actually these kind of scams. So actually the whole ecosystem, also the, let's say, the guys who were interested, or maybe even scammers, were providing and creating some kind of dashboard so you can find where all the scammers are online. And of course, you have something like this. You have the lead designer, the lead marketeer, and the lead developer, and guess what? It might be they are all same persons. Because after I have been part of the ICO, on my LinkedIn profile, I got several requests from potential ICO teams. Just, in a way, can we borrow your name and you will get like so much percentage? You know, you just get your name, and because if somebody, let's say, if some guys who are actually have presence on the LinkedIn or in a security area, this means that they're standing behind the ICO, and it kind of gets you, let's say, more credibility. And of course, Vitalik Buterin created the Ethereum platform, some other guys, and we got the smart contracts. Has anybody written already some kind of smart contract? Yeah? 1, 2? Are they really smart? Huh? Ah, okay. But what is actually the smart contract? You see, the smart contract were first proposed by Nick Szabo, who coined the term in 1994. So, did Bitcoin exist in 94, or Ethereum, or at least some kind of idea of Ethereum or some kind of blockchain? But a smart contract was already there. So the term smart contract was already there. But we have a problem with this smart contract because they were written by developers, right? And with smart contracts and not properly designing or even developing or implementing it, actually the guys, the researcher had discovered that over 30,000 contracts are open to exploit. And some of them, they even prove that it's possible. On the other hand, they're saying on March 1st that Ethereum smart contracts are full of holes. Smart contracts are still way too dumb. But it depends who write them. Or even more important, how they were tested. Or who was auditing them, if they were audited at all. And also the bad part, since I'm coming from Slovenia, I couldn't pass without telling you this story, that last year, the Slovenia was witnessing the biggest robbery in the whole Slovenia in last 20 or 20 years since Slovenia exists, and it was robbery from the NICE hash. Is somebody using a NICE hash client for mining? Did somebody? You were using it or? Used. You lost some money? A little bit. Yeah, you lost too. Did you take some actions? Did you get your money back? How? Because they are returning now money. Yeah, but the problem is that this was the biggest robbery in Slovenian history, and there was no press conference from the police side. So nothing. Since December, totally silence regarding this. And this, let's say, robbery in crypto world does have other, not bad, but let's say ugly things. Why? Because with Bitcoin and blockchain, you can actually track all the transactions. So the guys from the police and prosecution and everybody who were chasing the robbers, they can actually see where the money is going. So you see that the money is going there, but you cannot do anything. So that's the real ugly part of this whole ecosystem. So you know that somebody is getting money out. Or in this case, for example, he's laundering the money. They actually see that this is a mixer and they're laundering the money, but you cannot do anything. You just can see and watch and cry. And that's it. And this is the real ugly part of this. And of course, last but not least, who's having device to store the crypto tokens or crypto bitcoins or Ethereum tokens? You're using Ledger? Yeah, with updated firmware? You're not sure? Now, why is this interesting? Because this whole ecosystem is like, I say it on the last picture you're going to see and you're going to understand it. It's like really not so very mature. Because we are talking about this device. So Ledger. So the next question is, what do you think? How old is a guy who actually managed to hack this Ledger?
15 years.
Huh? Yeah, if somebody, 15-year-old. So 15-year-old programmer. Anybody 15 years old here? Around 15 or 16? 7? Okay, you still have a chance. So 15-year-old guys are hacking security devices that are storing your private keys to your crypto kingdom. It's not that bad. For example, Microsoft, the youngest guy hacked Microsoft Xbox was 4 years old, so it's not that bad at all. But anyway, with 15 years, not know anything, playing with a little device that you can actually he invested around $100, or what was the price of the Ledger, and he invested, it was playing, and he managed, and he succeeded. So he was not some lead, cool hacker. He was just playing around, and that's as I said, that's happening here. In crypto, it's like wild west, where almost everybody is gonna die. And here, it's another case. Before that, I forgot. You see that overflow error shuts down the token trading. So one overflow. It's pretty basic overflow. You see, if you're multiplying, he actually managed to put in so big number that actually the overflow was triggered, and he managed to get quite a lot of money from that smart contract. And that's the simple things. That's no rocket science, that's no high mathematician, that's not high mathematics. It's just simple overflow as we know it from C from, 70 years, 80 years from the last century. And this is the code that's actually running inside of different blockchain ecosystems. Okay, so we've seen this. So we have the good and the bad and the ugly part, but where does this fit? Since I said I'm hacker, I'm not developer. I've been developing for several years, then I switched to hacking. So because it's much easier to hack than to develop, and it's a lot of fun. And I want to share my experience with this. So last year in Slovenia there was one ICO, and they had idea like decentralized energy market. So you can, if you own a solar power plant or hydro plant or some other that you are producing or you're buying the energy, they said, okay, we're gonna create an ICO so you can actually buy electricity from each other. And all those power meters from your homes, they're gonna be put into the blockchain. And you can have like the whole platform for trading energy and some other products. Or you can actually donate the electricity to, I don't know, Red Cross, your grandma, or some kind of friends. Or even sell it in different price that they are selling electric distributors to you. So they actually managed to raise at that time almost a little bit more than $2 million. Somewhere between, when there was a hype, they actually managed to have a market cap like $50 million. So it was kind of huge. So it was also, let's say, our responsibility to keep this money so the bad hackers won't steal it. So that was our task. And it was kind of, we were not, let's say, since we were pen testers and trainers and researchers, we are not quite familiar with everything that was needed. So when we were studying, should we take this challenge or not? It was kind of interesting. Why? Because we had the opportunity to learn something new, to see actually how this blockchain works, and what's behind. And a lot of challenges were quite new also for us. And it was, let's say, challenging enough to accept it. So the first issue was, who should develop all the key components for the ICO? Or how should they start it? Should they go with an application? Should they go with some already proven solution? Where to get the smart contract, who should be testing the smart contract. So there have been a lot of issues around that. So the first issue was, what kind of application should we have for raising the money, let's say crypto money? So should we go with some app, custom design app? Should we take something? Should they go with, I don't know, some proven solution from other ICO? What kind of platform? What kind of environment? Should they go on premise to put on a servers in premise, or should they go with a cloud? What kind of technology? .NET Core was rising up at that time. Should they go with Ruby on Rails or some kind of other thing? And interesting was that platform for raising the money was actually developed. It was already there. But let's say, last moment before the launch, the decision maker actually, since he had two possibilities, he changed this whole strategy. So they went with plain GitHub page and a mailing list. So there was no app. There was, let's say, area for security issue was quite lowered. So they didn't have problems with the denial of service attacks because the GitHub was protecting them. And they went this way. So the simplicity. So it's one web page with only JavaScript that was counting down. And some good mailing list manager who was actually shipping out all the emails to interested customers or interested potential investors. So that was the easiest, that was the most easiest way, because when we were evaluating the application that was supposed to be installed, it was complex and it has like several, let's say, possible injection points or possible dangers which could be, let's say, critical for also for this application. Then they had problems with smart contract. Since they outsourced the smart contract, they trusted kind of outsourced company that the smart contract would be, let's say, very good, that it won't have any issues. We have been reviewing it a little bit, and when we have been reviewing, we found also several issues in it. Although that smart contract or some kind of variant was already used before. And then was the testing part. It was really interesting, that testing part. I was sitting on that meeting, I said, okay, smart contract is kind of almost final. How should we test it? What do you think developer said? How did he test the smart contract?
With MetaMask and test.
Yeah, kind of. Well, he said, well, I'm testing this on my notebook, It's like I'm running this and it works. Okay, how should we test it? Since they have been designing the smart contract in a way that it will give in some time intervals, so for the first comer would get even more tokens than the other ones that they would come later. And all the exit phases. So would it work? So for example, if this block is already ended, will it close down? Should actually tokens end at the sender's address? And everything, this was really, really challenging. I remember that in a conference room, there was huge decision tree regarding the testing. So if happened this, then it's going to be this. And very good thing was they actually went with a full public smart contract, which is actually over, even at that moment, somewhere out the whole source code. And then was some other thing. I know on the other meeting, he said the developer brought the code. He said, that's the final code. We put it in our testing environment. It didn't compile at all. They messed up. The final version didn't compile. And of course, when we were setting up also the whole testing environment, it was also some fun because we wanted to compile something, and some NPM repo disappeared during the weekend. It was like some guy decided to take it down, and the whole build process died. So it was like, how come? It's impossible. Then we Googled it and said, yeah, this is missing. When is it going to be up? We don't know. Oh shit. So it's a lot of challenging also during this smart contract issues during this part. And of course, with smart contracts and blockchain, there's also one issue. You cannot say this ICO will start on Saturday at 9 a.m. Why? Because you're not tied to the clock. You're tied to what? You're tied to the blocks. Yeah. So they kind of calculated the blocks, because you have to make, okay, we're going to start on 20th of July. But if you made a mistake, this 20th July is not the 20th July. Because if some kind of block generation, it's, let's say, time block, how fast the blocks are generated, a little bit changes. So if difficulty was changed, then also the block generation and all your calculation is wrong. So actually it was the same thing here, because they actually calculated and they said it's going to start in the morning. But the Ethereum said, no, it's going to start at afternoon. So actually people were, what we have seen, people were already sending the money because the address was already, smart contract was already in Ethereum, but since it was not that block time, the money was getting back to the senders. And we saw one guy, what was really interesting, that he sent around 1,000 ethers, and he never came back. So he sent it, the money came back, he said, well, they don't want more money, I won't send it again. So they lost 1,000 ether at that time. And also some other issues were interesting because smart contract also had the issue, but they discovered it a little bit later. Somebody sent some other tokens to that address. And these tokens are still there. They cannot be put back. And when we were seeing how much money is actually that, somebody lost 20,000 euros sending the wrong token currency. Instead of Ethereum, he sent some other tokens, and tokens are frozen at that address, and they cannot be sent back because the smart contract didn't, let's say, was not prepared in this kind of scenario. So actually they're there. So some guy lost 20,000 euros in one transaction. And then, when the ICO was started, then we had like interesting times. It was really, fun part. And here are some abbreviation, but probably here in Slovenia we have this one. In Serbia, I checked in Google, you have this one. Who's from Serbia? Šta bi značilo NNNSI? Some old guys? Ništa nas ne smije iznenaditi. So you should be prepared. That was, since that time from Yugoslavia, we had nič nas ne sme presenetiti, so nič nas ne sme iznenaditi ovdje. So it's really, when we started the site, when the site was open, it took less than 5 or 10 minutes, and there were already scam sites all around the world. So actually the guys, real investors, send money to some other addresses. Because if you make a mistake or somebody scams you into sending the cryptocurrencies to some other address, there's no way back. And of course, since we made the they made a decision, we helped them that they should go with single page. It was easy to clone it because just wget -r this page and just change the address where the money should go. So there have been a lot of scam pages. There have been a lot of attacks over the Telegram or even on Slack. So a lot of fake profiles who were actually looking as they would be coming from ICO owners or ICO administrators were actually telling the people, no, this is not the right address. The right address is here. We change it. Now they were also sending out the emails and some other stuff. So it was really, it was really interesting. It was like, how come? It's like just this URL and this URL, and now it was an issue how to take these URLs down. Now you cannot just say take them down. Well, you can actually DDoS them, right? We have seen yesterday's presentation, so it's quite cheap, right? But it's not legal. Yeah, kind of, but no, that was not the way. And we also had different Twitter accounts which were already spitting out, the fake URLs and trying some different scams. So it was coming 24/7. So when the guys from China and Russia went to sleep, then the Europeans came. When Europeans came to bed, then the Americans came. So it was like 24/7. So it was all around the clock. And we discovered that since we have been helping them, that it's the easiest and the fastest way to take down the fake site to notify the CERT. So the local CERT. So the local CERT is actually contacting the CERT from, I don't know, from Ukraine or from Romania, from Bulgaria, some other countries that were actually taking down the sites. Because if you notify the ISP who was actually hosting that site, it took so long. And those fake sites were also helping attackers to steal some kind of money. Well, actually, in this ICO, I think they only lost around several thousand euros. So they didn't lose so much money. So several thousand euros went to some other addresses, and they didn't go to their ICO address. And of course, if you have some kind of site, then you have to monitor it. So are we under attack? Are some kind of strange activities going on? Are there some kind of alerts? And this is, actually it was kind of around the clock. So because attackers never stop. As I said, some other guys from some other part of the world was attacking, were trying to do something, let's say, harmful. And then at the end, when ICO was done, and some already the Sun contract managed to get into the second phase, now they didn't have any bug bounty program. Because it's really important to have it, because if you don't say you have it or you don't have it, you will get some kind of these kind of emails. I would like to report a security vulnerability in your web application. Please let me know. And of course, if you avoid me, it's even better. So do let me know. And during the ICO and afterwards, we had several of these kind of, let's say, issues. But the interesting point was that although they reported some kind of vulnerability issues, they didn't manage to find any. It was, let's say, low, medium severity during this ICO and also during the platform. So hopefully we did a good job there. Okay, but at the end, some kind of tips, advices, how should you start if you manage to get to ICO, or you're going to be the part of the ICO, or you're having a good idea to maybe to go ICO. Even on the other side, at the moment, the crypto, it's more going down than it's going up. So where to start? I found a very good, if you want to cover all the details, so all the areas, I found a really good presentation from this URL. What you should protect? So actually, definitely the endpoints, security, data manipulation, and also don't forget this. Because, if people are seeing a lot of money in one place, their mind might get twisted. Why? Because if you see several millions and you have the private key to steal several millions, dollars, euros, whatever, you might think in a different way. You might think, how should I get that money? And also some other things. But I think this one, if you cover all these areas, you're in a good way to make a good ICO. And since we are also at the Balkan, and the Balkan is running the CTF, also some companies, and it's really interesting that we have seen that also this ecosystem around all the blockchain and smart contract and everything is evolving, and some companies saw actually also the opportunity for them. Because here, Security Innovations is actually offering the blockchain CTF challenge. So to try to hack it, to know all the let's say, bad stuff that might happen, it's also the point in good, it's going into the right direction with this one. And if you have some good idea, like CTF platform for smart contract, probably you're on a good way to get some funding. And some other hints at the end. If you don't have enough dollars, euros, dinars, whatever, don't start it. Because, if you say, I don't have anything, but I have good idea, your ICO won't be successful. Because marketing today, it's everything. If you don't manage to do the proper marketing, even if you have a good idea, it's all lost. On the other hand, have enough resources and other, let's say, resources and also people from different kind of areas. Because this, if you're, let's say, going into a real narrow, like only in a blockchain and don't see the wide angle of it, you might get problems. Be prepared to everything. I mean, really everything. Because the creativity of the hackers, there's no limits. So if you manage to secure all, they will find a way, somehow, to make your nightmare come true. Maybe it's also this one good. Don't share everything with everybody. So let's say I have seen here at this ICO, although we have been taking care for security, the guys who were actually doing the ICO, so actually the decision makers, they didn't share everything. So there was some kind of details they didn't tell, or some they share with some guys, and it might help sometimes. And last but not least, I really like this principle, KISS, so keep it simple, stupid. That's the best way, because if you're trying to make really complex system, if you're trying to make, let's say, if you're introducing complexity, you will have a problem. And maybe at the last, what I have learned, I think this last slide actually tells everything about the blockchain and the Bitcoin and all the ecosystems around it, because we have seen that a lot of people are really talking about it, but it's like sex in high school. Oh, it's really, you're laughing, but it's really true. Because I have seen a lot of guys, I have been talking to a lot of developers, testers, blockchain experts. It's fine when you're talking. But when it's time for action, then you discover that everybody's just talking about it, not practicing it. So that's it. Okay, that's for my presentation. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
Hi. When you were contacting the certificate authorities about the scammer sites, how did you prove that you're just saying, hey, that guy's a scammer, that site is not valid? On whose authority did they take your word? Just like anybody can say, hey, that guy's a scammer, disvalidate his certificate.
Well, actually, they were not having the certificates at all. They were just putting in on some IP addresses, the site. So they were actually the cloning site, since they were, okay, some contacted search said, okay, this is our page, this is the fake page that they are trying to steal the money, take it down. Or at least contact it, or do something, or block it, or contact it. So actually they were saying, it's the same as you were saying, okay, this is my page, these are the scammers. So, but they were not using the certificates for SSL or HTTPS or some kind of fake address, fake domain names, which will go with some contract, but probably they were using some kind of hacked servers. They were just putting on the static HTML, which only changing the address where the fund should be sent. Okay.
Anyone else?
No questions? Okay. Thank you very much again. Then I hope to see you next year. Have a nice day.